Welcome to Coffee Chat. My guests today are Ron Nordstrom and Pam Miller, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about the new format for the Rotary auction. As all of you know, I'm sure, now that the COVID virus has kind of taken effect, everything has had to change, and the Rotary auction is one of them. The Rotary auction has always been an in-person kind of auction, and nearly all of the Rotarians were involved and half of the community, so you can imagine that distancing would be a bit of a problem. So a couple of the Rotarians have come up with a new idea, and we're going to have an online auction this year, and we're going to discuss with them how this online auction will work. And we're hoping that you will all get involved and use the new bidding system and bid those items right up to the top so that the Rotary can, in fact, fulfill their obligations to the community as far as donating to the needy causes. Welcome, you two. Welcome to Coffee Chat.
Thank you, Ivan.
First of all, Pam, tell us a little bit about how we made the decision to go on the internet.
Well, we had heard of other fundraising efforts that had switched from in-person type auctions to online auctions and started doing some research. In fact, Ron did most of that legwork with the research and found a club in Kenora with a member who had designed an auction website specifically for Rotary auctions.
Mm-hmm. I understand it was very successful too.
Yes,
Yeah.
like our auction online, or sorry, like our in-person auction and TV auction, they had as much or more success at that style of auction on an online auction as we had with our in-person. So we thought, well, we have the social distance measures in place. Why not give it a shot? So we'll try it this year.
And people are becoming more tech savvy too. That very few people don't have a computer available to them, and so on. We'll go into a little later as to how people can actually bid without a computer. But the people are becoming more tech savvy now and know how to use the computer, and I'm sure, well, we'll fall into line. There's going to be a lot of learning taking place, really fast learning taking place as far as you guys are concerned, because you're going to be running this thing. But tell us about some of the things about the auction, Ron, that are going to be different. Like,
yeah, of course it's all online, and so in the past people have had a chance to come in and view the items ahead of time. They'll have a chance to view the items, but not in person.
Yeah.
Instead, the photos of all of the auction items will be available online, and they will be posted up well in advance of the auction. Our auction is slated to start, and because it's an online auction, it lasts more than one day. Our TV auction would actually start and end in the same evening. This online auction will start, I believe December 3rd is the date we had picked, and it'll end a week later, December 10th. And people can bid on the items anytime between that date. So you can look at an item December 3rd, put a bid on it, take a look at it again December 7th, put another bid on it if your bid has been beaten, and December 10th you can put a final bid on it and see if you get that item. So it's in that way it's not just a one-night affair, it's a multi-day affair. But online you'll be able to see a picture of the object, it'll have a description so you'll know that if it's, I don't know, antifreeze, you'll know how many liters of antifreeze, things like that. So the description will be there. As well as a starting bid in some cases, as well as bid increments. So it might say that starting whatever the value of the item is $80, and maybe starting bid is $20 with $5 increments.
Yeah.
So you can bid 20, but you can't bid 21. The next thing you can do is bid 25. Mm-hmm. So all that information will be available for each individual item, because some items the increment might be $1. Other items it might be $5 or $10.
yeah. Well, if you're buying a pie, it might be $1.
It might be $1. If you're buying
a side of beef, it might be $10.
Exactly.
Oh yes, I understand, and that's reasonable. And it's nice that it's on there too, so people know what the thing is.
Yes.
just as a matter of interest, if the items are all, let's say for sake of argument, we have 100 items. They're all listed on there. There's pictures of them all, and you can go. I'm interested in item 55. Do I have to sit and wait until it goes through to 55 before, or can I actually bring up 55?
You will be able to search for particular items.
Yeah.
And once you find, let's say you're interested in item 55, 62, and I don't know, 47, you can mark those as your favorites, and those are the ones to watch. And when you are in the page, you can look at all items, or you can just look at the ones that you've marked, your favorites, and keep an eye on those. So really, it's up to you.
Oh, perfect. Like, in other words, if there's a bidding war going on, I don't want to go through 100 items.
Absolutely.
And so all I have to do is look at my favorites, and so-and-so's beat me on that one. I'm going to raise that $5 and the other one. And that's really fairly easy.
Now, the other thing that that viewers should be aware of is that not all items will end at the same time. Well, of course, you can't have 100 items, ending bids at a Thursday night at 7 o'clock, because it just becomes a frenzy, and you're interested in 3 items, and you're trying to bid and sort through these things. And so items will be staggered. The endings will be staggered. For example, one item might close at 7 o'clock, the next item might close at 7:05, the next item at 7:10, that kind of thing.
Yeah. How do they know?
Oh, it'll tell you a closing time for each individual item. Yeah. And if you mark your 3 or 4 or 10 favorites, they will have different times.
Yep.
One might close at 6 o'clock and one might close at 8:30. So.
No, I just so people would know. That's
Right.
the reason I asked. I gathered that was the case. But I imagine you're going to be doing a lot of the bookkeeping part of that. Is that going to be? I was going to say, is it going to be a headache? Well, it was a headache with the old one, because there was so much happening at one time, and I'm not being negative about it. It was a very positive thing, but it was a pretty hefty job to keep track. Is it going to be any different now, or is it going to be easier or harder? Or?
Well, it should be easier, because we'll have a report that will be produced by the site that we're using.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be able to do an invoice for, if one bidder has purchased 3 items, we'll be able to do up one invoice for that bidder with
And
those
you won't
3
have-
items.
You won't have to go through
We
all
will
of
not have to go separate papers for each item and each person.
And one better than that is each individual person, because you need an email account when you sign up to be able to make the bids. When you're finished bidding, or when the auction is over, you actually have a spot there you can press, and you can print your own invoice. You can bring that invoice in when you pick up your items at Arts Forward, because that's the next part. Is you bid on an item, you need to get it. Those items will be available at Arts Forward on the 11th. That's a Friday, December 11th, to pick them up at Arts Forward. You can bring your invoice in, or if you forget to print an invoice or bring it in, we can easily bring up your invoice and tell you exactly what you've purchased and how much you owe.
So you can just, as you say, print your own invoice before you come home. What happens if you don't have a computer and you want to play the game anyway? And what happens? What happens? I don't have a computer, and I saw the bill hanging up on the street someplace, and there was item 11. I thought, I'd really like that item. How am I going to bid on it if I don't have a computer and don't have a friend that will let me in without my mask on or whatever? I'm setting up a scenario here that may not happen, but we want to include those people, because we had people used to bid for us, I'm sure, that were out of town, maybe didn't have a computer and so on, but would still want to bid.
We're going to have proxy bid sheets that can be picked up at Arts Forward and other locations to be announced.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to fill in all of your contact information and the items that you're interested in with your starting bid and your maximum bid. And then once we punch those into the system will automatically bid your increment if you've been outbid on that item.
Just
up
like
to your max.
eBay.
Just like
Just
eBay.
like eBay.
Just like eBay.
And of course, those people won't get an email telling them they're the winning bid, and so they'll have to be notified in a different way.
Yeah. But they can still they can still participate though if they
Absolutely.
want to. And lots of people, not lots, quite a few people used to come in with a pre-bid and wanting to support Rotary to the extent of making sure that that item didn't go for, you know, too cheap. In other words, they're really trying to. I remember one fellow, he bid $25 on a special dog watering dish or something, and he didn't even have a dog. But he said it was such a neat dish, he didn't want to see somebody get it for $2, so he bid $25 on it.
That was very generous.
Well, but people do that too. We have people in the town who are that kind of people. They look through it
Absolutely.
and they say that, and the fact that they don't get it doesn't bother them as long as the item went for more than that.
Yeah.
yes.
Sometimes, at least I've heard this, that some of the online auctions that have taken place, we do get into a few more bidding wars than you did when you did it on TV, because there's kind of time to get a little bit of competition going, and that becomes fun too, because when a couple of people are trying to outbid
Yes.
Val's pies might go for $150 or something.
Yeah.
In fact, they almost did one year because we had two people who phoned in and said they wanted the pies, and they just keep bidding until I got them. Well, when you have two people that say we just keep bidding, the thing goes up pretty fast.
Yes.
But
Well, we're
it's,
not limited to four calls coming in at a time now. It's
No.
unlimited access to the site, and bids can come in as many at a time as.
And
as
that's
there
a
are
real
bidders.
advantage too, because sometimes we did have people who were calling and only calling the same number, and that number did get plugged up a few times where their bid was actually missed,
Yeah.
which was too bad, but that was the way it worked in those days. Now, it's not going to be missed.
Right.
It's going
And
to go.
another benefit will be that you'll be able to see what the most recent bid is, where when we were having phone calls,
Right.
we didn't necessarily know what the most current bid was at the time of the call.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Because that's true. Like if so and so's tied at $55, and then you go and you bid $60, you don't know. Maybe there's a $62 or $65 bid already
Yes.
in. You know, this
Exactly.
way you'll know that there's one in.
That's
and
right.
What you're bidding against.
Yeah.
That's very good. I said earlier that the learning curve is going to be pretty high. What kind of, this is getting kind of into the technical part of it now, what kind of software do you need in order to run this kind of a program? And where do we come about that, and so on and so forth?
You mean for the user, for the person who wants to do some bidding? Is that what you mean?
No,
Just
for the
administratively?
actual
Oh,
for
okay.
the actual Rotary auction.
Yeah.
Like you don't just go on the internet and say we're going to do this. There must be some software that's necessary in order to make this all happen.
Absolutely. If you go and do a search online for auction software, you can find all sorts of auction software that you can purchase, or you can, I guess it's called you rent, because you use it for a particular event, and it costs hundreds of dollars to be able to do that. And we've looked at those and looked at some of the features of those, but we're really fortunate that there's a Rotarian in Kenora who's a programmer who has built his own auction site specifically for Rotary. They use it in Kenora, they use it in Dryden, Sioux Lookout, and they all run online auctions with this software. The advantage of this is a couple. One, it was designed specifically for Rotary, specifically for the kinds of things that they need to do in an auction. The second one is this programmer will allow Rotary to use it for free. So there's no cost to us, and it's a program designed for exactly what we want to happen. So it's I looked at some of the programs online, and from the ones I saw, all items ended at exactly the same time. And I thought, well, that doesn't look like a good way to run an auction with lots of items. If you had 5 or 6 items, that could do. But if you've got 100 or 200 items, that's really not a great way to do it. So we've got fortunate to have a Rotarian in our district that has those kind of skills and willing to offer that program to us for free.
Great. Well, the thing is, the reason I asked was it probably doesn't make any difference to the majority of people, but there will be people wondering, exactly how this is going to happen. And what about the payment, Pam? We talked about going to Arts Forward, but
Yes.
fill us in now. I bought an item or I bought 3 items on the 10th, and I have my little waybill. What happens? I go to Arts Forward? And
Yes, so on the 11th, between, I can't remember the hours here.
Yeah, those details will
It'll
be
be,
filled
yeah,
in later.
more
Yeah.
details to follow, but on
That's
the
right.
11th, you'll be able to come in and with your invoice or have one generated there
Yeah.
and make your payment with cash check.
I think cash and check is
Cash
what
and
we're
check
looking
is-
for.
is-
Yeah.
We are looking into seeing whether e-transfer is an option. We haven't ironed that all out yet, whether
Yeah,
that's
which
available.
means that people could actually pay it from home if you had
Yes.
e-transfer. yeah.
Absolutely.
They still need to make arrangements to pick up the item, though.
Well, but yes, that's true. Except that some of them, like a lot of mine, are items that will be delivered. Like in
Yes.
other words, the pork that comes from Spring Hill, the fellow just delivers it.
Yes.
That's
when
right.
the
But
time
there will
comes.
be a certificate you need to pick up to get that because
Yep.
Spring Hill won't believe you if you just go there and say, I'm the guy that got the pork. After 15 people come in and say that, I think they'll suspect that you might not be the guy.
That's true, especially if you've done it once before.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing
Yeah.
I should add in that if you are going to bid on an item, you will have to sign up. There will be a place on our website that
Yep.
click here, and you just create your own account with your own username and password. You will have to sign up on our site. Those details will come out much later when our
Exactly.
site is up, and we'll have links on Facebook and on our website and probably on our
But
posters.
that's no different
on how
from
to
getting
sign up.
at a regular auction. You have to go and get your
Absolutely.
little
Exactly.
card and hold it up. I'm
That's right.
I'm
Right.
49, you know.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
no, so people that are into auctions are aware of that part of it has to happen. And,
And-
as you say, there's a lot of things that are going to happen. There's a steep learning curve between now and the 10th of December.
Absolutely.
But all people have to do is if they're aware of the type of thing that's going to happen, they have to keep their eyes open to find out exactly what the times and dates and the little things that are going to happen. Because as the COVID virus has done to all of us, it's made us change our minds a lot. And going from a regular auction to an online auction is going to make us change our minds about quite a few different things that we did the other way and maybe haven't even thought about yet until Pam gets done doing her list and she'll say, oh, what's going to happen here? And we'll have to let people know in lots of time, but this is just a precursor to let people know that, in fact, we are changing the format, that it's going to be an online rather than a regular auction. And this is for the people who are donating as much as it is for the people who are bidding, so that they understand too that they're getting a different form of advertising from the Rotary Club than they did before. In fact, this might be a much better form of advertising because it's on that internet for, as you say, a couple of weeks beforehand.
Absolutely,
yeah.
That people will be able to view the items and make their decisions about what it is. But if you don't want to do that, you can still go through the auction bill that will be out all over town,
And in the
some
paper,
will be
in the
available
banner.
and in the paper.
Yeah.
That's right. The back page of the paper is they make a full auction bill there.
That's right.
But they're also available certain places where we have copies run off. So
That's right.
if you want to take a copy home and check
Highlight
mark a
your
whole
favorites.
yes, put a whole bunch of favorites down there.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more that I want to bring up.
There's one thing I want to clarify. We talked about, you can use your computer to make bids, but I want to make sure that you understand it's any device that's connected to the internet. So that means your phone, your tablet, computer, whatever. Like
Yep.
all of those devices will work. So if you're thinking, well, I don't have a computer at home. Well, if you have a tablet, you have a phone that has internet access, you will be able to create an account. You will be able to bid on items with any of those devices.
I would also like to add what we're supporting with these funds.
Yes, exactly.
So for this year's auction, we've identified our primary project, not our sole project, but our primary project as the Neepawa area schools. We foresee them having some requirements for additional technology resources as they get through this year with some remote learning, but whatever it may bring, help them to be prepared for that. But then other organizations that we generally support within the community will be helped out as requests are reviewed by
and the thing about it is, I hope people realize that our support for the community usually runs $15,000 to $20,000, like in that range. It's not just the $3,000 or $4,000 that we give to the primary person,
Right.
but we have commitments all the time to really necessary places.
Yes.
And I think people probably do recognize that the schools are running with 2 or 3 problems right now, and that is they've got brand new schools going, but they've got the COVID virus to deal with too.
Yeah.
So they're going to have, online. I mean, we've been really, really lucky in a place like Neepawa. There've been no cases, but the only way it's going to maintain that is for them to make sure that they maintain the protocol.
Absolutely.
And that costs money. It costs lots of money. And the little bit that Rotary gives them is just a little cherry on the cake, but sometimes it's one of the most important things. As you know, the cherry on the cake is sometimes important. Ron had something.
Yeah, well, if a student does come down with the virus and has to self-isolate at home for a couple of weeks, if they have a computer device at home to work, they can still do some work that way. If they don't, one of the things the school wants to provide to them is some sort of laptop, iPad, or some sort of device where they can still get some schoolwork done. And that's possibly where some of these funds may end up. We're not exactly sure.
No.
I've got some facts here just from last year. This is just a 1 year. You talked about how much Rotary funds local projects. Last year we had almost $19,000 put into our community locally from the proceeds. Well, from all of our fundraising proceeds, really, about $19,000 plus a $2,000 scholarship. So that's over $20,000 last year, and certainly well over that the previous year. And we also do some international work. And last year, about $4,500 from international funds was distributed as well. So the money will go to to the schools, but also goes to a lot of different organizations.
And I think this is way off topic, but I think that if one thing that the COVID virus has told us is that we are a global community now, and it's you can't be introverted anymore and say we're going to live in our own little shell. It doesn't work, and and Rotary has always thought globally, but it's made the local clubs even think more globally than they did before, because it is a global pandemic. It's not just something that happens in Canada or in North America or in some country outside of here. Yeah. And that's great. And we do, just to kind of fill in a wee bit, like we do have a little nest egg that we put away every year. And I think 2 years ago we put like nearly $30,000 into the community.
Oh, I think it was nearly $40,000.
Nearly 40, yeah. So every once in a while we do have a nice little nest egg that we can give a special project, which we did that year. So Rotary does donate a lot to the community, and I think the community is very supportive of the Rotary Club. They seem to be anyway. Yep. Certainly the businesses are supportive, and I think that the nonprofit organizations that are in the town are very needy during this particular time, because it's hard for them to raise their normal funds, because their normal funds were going door to door or doing pancake breakfast or whatever. Whatever they did to make money, it was often something that had to be canceled. And That's so right. They don't have a method of making money. And thank God we have a method of making money now by changing from the old format to a new format, which is the online auction. Well, I want to thank you two a lot for coming out, and I wouldn't be surprised, but we'll do something that won't be exactly like this, but something like this to keep the information flowing to the general public, to let them know that we do have an online auction going, and these are the things that we're doing, and these are the activities you can get involved in. So again, thanks very much. Thanks, Pam. It wasn't that bad.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Ron. And thank you very much for watching Coffee Chat. My guests have been Ron Nordstrom and Pam Miller. And we thank you for joining us and hope that you've got some information re the new Rotary online auction. Thanks again.